What would you do if someone knocked on your door at 9 p.m. and you knew they were supposed to be dead? Chuck Garrison thought he was living the perfect life. New wife, successful business, plenty of money. But there was just one problem. 8 years ago, his first wife Denise vanished without a trace in Mexico. Chuck played the grieving husband perfectly. He held vigils, gave interviews, and eventually moved on. But what Chuck didn't know was that Denise wasn't missing. She was buried alive. And somehow, impossibly, she survived. Tonight, you'll witness the most shocking case of survival and revenge ever recorded. A woman who clawed her way out of her own grave to confront the man who tried to murder her. This is the story of Chuck Garrison, a man who thought he got away with murder until his past came knocking. This isn't possible. You're supposed to be dead. Surprise! Stay with us as we uncover a crime that will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about love, betrayal, and survival. Because sometimes the dead don't stay buried. But first, make sure you're subscribed and hit that notification bell, and also like the videos. Let's start the story.
8 years earlier, Atlanta, Georgia. To observers, Charles Chuck Garrison and Denise Garrison maintained an ideal union, a stunning residence, financial prosperity, recognition as a respected, flourishing pair. Chuck, a prominent property developer, had established his reputation. People relied on him, his word sealed agreements. His appeal made him beyond question. Denise, a former healthcare worker, was their household's sole, intelligent, independent, and deeply devoted. Together, they appeared as an influential duo. But privately, their union was deteriorating, and only Denise recognized the reality. Chuck had always possessed magnetism, the type of individual who could negotiate his way through anything. His speech was polished, his smile captivating. People appreciated him, trusted him, desired his company. Denise had succumbed to it initially. When they first encountered each other, Chuck had enchanted her flowers, intimate dinners, considerate gestures. He made her feel valued. She was 26, working overnight hospital shifts. He was 31, already achieving significant progress in property development. He assured her quality living, security, affection. For a period, he provided it. But affection diminishes when deception begins. Chuck never remained faithful long. The extended office hours weren't for business. The weekend commercial trips, he never traveled solo. Denise wasn't innocent. She noticed the cosmetic stains that weren't hers, discovered messages, hotel receipts, the small evidence he was too presumptuous to conceal. She challenged him repeatedly, and each time Chuck executed his role flawlessly. "It's not your assumption, sweetheart. You're my only love." She was meaningless. Then he'd arrive with flowers, a new jewelry piece, a weekend escape. For a while she allowed herself to believe because marriage deserved effort, because she thought he would transform, because Chuck always understood how to make her remain. But internally she knew Chuck wouldn't cease, and Denise was losing tolerance. Chuck's greatest obsession wasn't women, it was wealth, and he was horrible with it. He maintained a luxurious lifestyle, rapid vehicles, premium clothing, costly vacations. But privately, his finances were collapsing. Poor investments, questionable property transactions, borrowing beyond his capacity. Denise began recognizing warning signs, exhausted credit cards, bank records that didn't align. Then came the worst revelation. Chuck had secured a second mortgage on their residence without informing her. He was hemorrhaging money, and if Denise didn't intervene, they would forfeit everything. Denise acted responsibly. She assumed control, closed accounts, canceled credit cards, secured their savings. She refused to allow him to destroy everything they had constructed, and Chuck despised her for it. For the first time in their marriage, he lacked control. He couldn't charm his escape, couldn't spend freely. He was confined, and the bitterness grew. One evening, Denise confronted Chuck directly. She was finished, exhausted, and prepared to depart. She gazed into his eyes, I cannot continue this anymore. Chuck's smile disappeared. Continue what? This marriage, the deception, the infidelity, the financial problems. I'm done. Her voice was steady, firm. She had already consulted an attorney. She wasn't seeking permission, she was informing him. That's when Chuck's expression transformed. Denise had witnessed him angry previously, but this was different. His eyes darkened. Then came words she never anticipated. You abandon me and you leave with nothing. Denise laughed bitterly. I'm claiming half, Chuck. You cannot prevent me. And that was it, the moment she determined her destiny. Chuck recognized he had one opportunity to eliminate Denise without suspicion, a perfect excuse, a perfect disguise. The opportunity presented itself through a vacation. Denise had arranged a trip to Cancun, Mexico, hoping it would help them reconnect. Chuck perceived it as the ideal moment to dispose of her. No witnesses, no law enforcement investigating, a clean disappearance. He simply had to perform his role, pretend normalcy, pretend he was still the devoted husband, pretend he wasn't about to murder his spouse. The evening before departing for Mexico, Chuck was unusually affectionate. He prepared dinner, held her hand, made promises about repairing their marriage. Denise wanted to believe him. She lowered her defenses, and that was her error. Denise was unaware that when she boarded that aircraft to Mexico, she would never return, at least not as she expected. She thought she was entering a chance at happiness, but she was walking directly into a tomb. The initial days felt almost normal beach strolls, candlelit dinners, holding hands as if they were still in love. Chuck was saying appropriate things. We just lost our direction, sweetheart. We can repair this. Denise wanted to believe him, but at night, lying beside him, she sensed something was wrong. Chuck had always been skilled at deception, and Denise recognized a performance when she witnessed one. It occurred on the fourth evening. Denise had been reviewing their finances. Chuck was drinking again. She confronted him once more. I examined the bank statements, Chuck. He didn't respond, just consumed another sip of whiskey, his jaw tense. You depleted our savings, secured another loan? Do you comprehend what you've accomplished? Chuck scoffed. It's my money, too. Denise's voice elevated. Not anymore. I'm finished cleaning your disasters. I'm filing for divorce when we return home. Chuck's hand tightened around his glass. You're not claiming half of my money, Denise. It's not your money, it's ours. Denise was trembling now, furious. She had spent years maintaining this marriage together. For what? For someone who never cared, for someone who viewed her as disposable. She turned to leave, and that's when Chuck lost control. Before Denise could take another step, Chuck grabbed his luggage, unzipped the side compartment, retrieved his .38 revolver. Denise turned, eyes expanding. Chuck! The first gunshot tore through her shoulder. The second struck her stomach. She collapsed, gasping, bleeding, eyes wide with shock. Chuck just stood there, frozen. Denise's mouth opened, but no words emerged. Her body convulsed. She was still alive. Chuck's breathing came in irregular gasps. He hadn't planned it occurring like this, not inside the house, not this chaotic. He watched as Denise attempted to crawl toward him, tried to reach for his leg. Her lips moved. Chuck leaned closer. Please. Something inside him snapped. She wasn't dead yet. He had to complete it. Chuck acted quickly. He grabbed a throw blanket from the couch and wrapped her in it. Her body was still warm, still moving. He dragged her outside. The vacation home sat on Cancun's outskirts, near the jungle, no neighbors, no cameras. He had already selected the location, a small clearing in the woods. He had planned to do it differently, maybe poison her drink, maybe make it appear accidental. But this was messy, and Chuck detested messes. The soil was soft. He dug as rapidly as possible, his muscles burning. Moonlight illuminated Denise's face. Her eyes were still open, still pleading. Chuck forced himself to look away. He dropped her into the grave, tossed her phone in with her, and began shoveling dirt over the woman who had once been his wife. Chuck returned inside, his heart still pounding, blood on the floor, on the couch, on his hands. He worked methodically, bleached towels, trash bags. Denise's clothes burned, the gun disassembled and buried miles away. By morning, the house appeared untouched, like nothing had ever happened. The next day, Chuck entered the local police station, tears in his eyes, a frantic husband, a man in anguish. "My wife, she's missing." He told them about the argument, said Denise stormed out, that she was emotional, stressed, that she probably needed space. The Mexican authorities didn't seem overly concerned. Tourists went missing regularly. They would probably return home after some time. No sign of foul play, no reason to investigate. And just like that, Chuck walked away a free man. Chuck returned to Atlanta, a grieving husband. He held vigils, played the part perfectly. And when the sympathy faded, he cashed in Denise's life insurance, their joint accounts, every cent she had ever saved. Within a year, Chuck was remarried, living his best life. In the shallow grave, Denise Garrison awakened to the weight of earth pressing against her chest. Her head throbbed, her lungs burned. She attempted to scream, but her mouth filled with dirt. Panic set in, she wasn't dead. Chuck had buried her alive. Instinct took over. Denise forced her arms to move, clawing at the loose soil above her. Her fingers scraped against roots and stones, tearing her skin. Every movement felt like lifting a mountain. Her body screamed in protest, but she continued, one handful of dirt, then another. Her breath came in short, shallow gasps. She didn't know her depth, didn't know how much longer she could last. But she knew one thing: if she stopped, she would die here. Her fingers found air. She clawed harder, kicking, pushing, gasping. She broke through the ground, her body half emerging from the shallow grave. Her entire frame trembled, her vision swam. She couldn't lose consciousness, not now. Denise forced herself onto her hands and knees. Somehow, some way, she got to her feet. She had no idea where she was, but she had one goal: escape. Denise stumbled forward, every step sending fresh agony through her body. She didn't know how long she walked. The road ahead was deserted. Her body weighed 1,000 pounds. Then, headlights, a car. Denise tried to wave her arms, but her body refused. She collapsed, her knees hitting the pavement. The vehicle skidded to a stop. A man jumped out. Spanish words swirled around her. She tried to respond, but her body gave out. The world faded. Denise awakened in a hospital bed, bright lights, beeping monitors, a soft rhythmic hum of voices in the background. Her body ached everywhere. She tried to move, but she was too weak. A nurse appeared, eyes wide with shock. "Can you hear me?" Denise blinked. She tried to speak, nothing came out. The nurse hurried away, calling for a doctor. Moments later, a man in a white coat appeared, checking her vitals. Denise couldn't understand what was happening. She opened her mouth, trying to ask the most basic question: "Where am I?" But no words came, because she didn't know who she was. The doctors told her the truth: she had been in a coma for 13 months. Her injuries had been severe internal bleeding, broken ribs, a skull fracture. She had no ID, no fingerprints on record. No one had come looking for her. She was simply a missing woman with nowhere to go. Over time, Denise learned to walk again. She gained strength. The hospital staff called her Maria. She didn't recognize it, but she accepted it, a new name, a new identity. She was released into a shelter for displaced women. She found work cleaning small hotels. She built a simple, quiet life, no past, no future, just existing. Until one day, everything came back. It happened in a grocery store. Denise was bagging oranges when a man's laugh caught her attention. It wasn't his voice, but it was his tone, Chuck's tone. Something inside her cracked. Images flashed in her mind: a vacation home, a heated argument, a gun, a shallow grave. Denise gasped, and then it all came rushing back: her name, her life, her murder. She wasn't Maria. She was Denise Garrison. And the man who tried to kill her was still out there. The moment her memories returned, Denise knew what she had to do. She walked straight to a local police station in Mexico, a woman missing for 8 years, suddenly remembering her past. The officers were skeptical until she said her real name, Denise Garrison. One officer froze at the name. He typed something into his computer, and then his eyes widened. "You've been dead for 8 years." The words hit her harder than the gunshots ever did. Dead? How could she be dead if she was standing right here? She leaned over the counter, staring at the police screen. Her own face looked back at her. A missing persons case. Closed. Presumed dead. The last known sighting, Mexico. Known. Denise booked a one-way flight to Atlanta. No hesitation, no second thoughts. She didn't know what she'd do when she got there, didn't know what she'd say. But she had to see him. Had to see the life he built after killing her. Had to look him in the eyes. Had to show him she was still alive. Denise stepped out of the rideshare car, her heart pounding. There it was, her home. Or at least it used to be. It looked different, new flowers, a fresh coat of paint. Chuck had moved on. She had been fighting for her life, and he had been here, living like nothing happened. She climbed the porch steps and knocked. She heard footsteps inside, a muffled voice. Then the door creaked open, and there he was, Chuck. Older, a little grayer, but still Chuck. His eyes met hers, and his face turned white. Denise took a slow step forward, tilting her head. "You're not going to invite me in?" Chuck's mouth opened, but no sound came out. This wasn't real. This wasn't possible. He had put her in the ground, had watched the dirt cover her, had spent 8 years living with the certainty that she was never coming back. Yet here she was, looking alive, strong, unshaken. His hand trembled as he reached for the doorframe, steadying himself. "Denise?" he finally managed to whisper. Her eyes flickered. "Not happy to see me?" Chuck glanced past her, searching for something: police, a setup, a camera crew. There had to be a catch, but it was just her. Denise's voice was quiet, steady, no anger, no screaming. Just one question. Why did you do it? Chuck's brain scrambled for an answer, an excuse, a way out. "You left, Denise." Denise's expression didn't change. "No, Chuck. You tried to kill me." Chuck took a step back, gripping the door like he could somehow close this moment off. Denise took a step forward. "You left me in that grave." Chuck let out a breathy laugh, a nervous chuckle. His mind flipped into damage control. "Listen, I don't know what happened to you, but you left. You ran off, and now you're back, acting like I did something to you." Denise's smile faded. She folded her arms. "You shot me." Chuck shook his head. "No, Denise. You were emotional. We fought. You stormed out. I reported you missing." Denise took a step closer. "You buried me." Chuck stilled. Denise's voice dropped. "You buried me, Chuck." Denise reached into her purse, pulled out her phone. "I'd like to report an attempted murder," Denise said into the phone. The distant sound of sirens pierced the night air. His hands dropped to his sides. The police station was cold. Denise sat across from the lead detective, her hands resting on the table. She had waited 8 years for this moment, and now it was finally here. She told the police everything. The officers didn't wait. They had enough. Motive, money, evidence. The shallow grave, the missing bullet, the victim alive. They entered the room, handcuffs ready. Chuck barely moved because deep down, he knew it was over. Chuck Garrison had nowhere to run. He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Denise got justice, but justice doesn't erase the past. The man she once loved, trusted, built a life with, had tried to bury her alive. And for 8 years he had walked free, spent her money, lived in her house, slept peacefully at night. But karma came knocking. And this time, Chuck Garrison had nowhere to hide. What would you do if the person you love tried to kill you? Do you believe in second chances, or are some crimes unforgivable? Subscribe now for more true crime stories where betrayal, deception, and survival collide. Because in the end, the truth always comes out.